Kia ora, everyone, and welcome back to a special Deep Diver Dish.
Hi, everyone.
We know you love these, and this is one that maybe you're going to hate listening to, actually.
Yeah, it's going to be a rage listen.
A rage listen.
Yeah.
As usual, I'm going to teach Abby some things. I think you'll know a few of these.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to do a series about the worst things Donald Trump has ever done.
Yes.
I started the series over on Substack because I really want there to be a place where there is historical, I'm a historian, like documentation, evidence in one place. I just think it's so hard when he floods the zone with so much stupid bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard to find just like a list of all the bad shit he's done.
Yes. Do you know what's funny? I listened to a old Donald Trump podcast you did with Ruby in 2021, and you said the same thing of he floods the swamp.
Really?
And you said it the other day, and I was like, wait.
Lucy been saying this?
Yes.
So today we are focusing on the worst things Donald Trump has done for democracy. And you all know what democracy is because you have listened to our episode where I explain all the political systems.
Yes.
And if you haven't, go and listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also going to talk about the worst things Donald Trump has done for immigration. Now, this is part one of a series, and we don't know how long this series is going to.
It's an endless list.
Yeah, go for it because we've got so much to talk about.
Even before he was president, he's been doing shit.
He's the worst. Do we even have to say it? Okay, so we're going to start with democracy. Here is a list of, probably a non-exhaustive list actually, of the worst things he's done. First of all, we all know about this. He incited a mob to storm the Capitol when he didn't want to admit that he'd lost the election. Mm-hmm. And then he pardoned every single person that
got arrested.
was in trouble for it. So this is probably one of his most famous bad things. On January the 6th, 2021, Trump supporters stormed the US Capitol while Congress was certifying the election that he lost. More than 2,000 people entered the building, smashing windows, ransacking offices, shitting in public spaces, searching for members of Congress to attack them. Over 140 police officers were injured. 5 people died in connection with this, and 4 police officers actually died by suicide in the months that followed. Mm-hmm. Then, on his very first day back in office, Trump pardoned more than 1,500 people charged in connection with this attack. He said that these people were hostages. Basically, he was impeached for inciting this violence. So it's like legally known that this was his fault.
Yes.
These people then, got pardoned. We let Trump back in office, and he did what any bad person would do and pardoned every single one. Next thing, he deployed National Guard troops to US cities against governors' explicit wishes, and he threatened to send in the military against his own people. So this is something that, is fucking diabolical, deplorable. In 2025, Trump forcibly deployed National Guard troops to Los Angeles, Portland, and Chicago because there were those big protests going on. So he's basically putting the country's own people against the country's own people. Courts actually blocked him from being able to send the National Guard in, and then he threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act, which is a very rarely used law that would allow him to deploy the actual military inside the US against US citizens.
Why do they need the military against everyday people?
No, exactly. So you'll remember when Renee Good was shot by ICE, and then there was huge protests in Minneapolis. The community were threatened with the military coming in against them. So, and then, when Trump was told you can't send in the National Guard, he was like, I will invoke the Insurrection Act because I'm going to do whatever I want against our own people. Bear in mind, citizens still vote for this man.
I know.
He hates you. Hey, everyone, he actually hates you.
Yeah, he only cares about his rich white friends. Yeah. That's it.
And does he even care about them? I don't know. I don't know if he has a caring... No, he doesn't. He called for sitting members of Congress to be hanged. So in November 2025, 6 Democratic lawyers, most of them were military veterans, posted a video telling military members to refuse any orders that violate the Constitution. That is not radical. You're not supposed to violate the Constitution. It's why it exists. Trump lost his mind about it. He posted on Truth Social that the lawmakers were traitors who should be arrested and put on trial, and then posted that their behaviour was punishable by death. He then reshared another user's post that said, hang them, George Washington would. So the White House actually defended Trump's actions here. They didn't walk any of it back. When Trump was asked about it, he said, I'm not threatening them, but I think they're in serious trouble. And he said that he was he was referencing what used to happen in the old days for people that did things like this.
That is fucked up to threaten that.
Yeah, so not that this even matters, but these people were veterans, that had served that country.
But no, veterans do not get looked after anyway.
No, and they were saying, hey guys, let's not violate the Constitution. Hanged, threatened, punishable by death. Sorry. Next, Trump ignored court orders on purpose and then told his staff not to leave a paper trail. So basically told them to hide things.
Yeah.
So in democracy, when a court tells the government it can't do something, the government has to stop doing that thing.
Yes.
We know that because we learned all about democracy. So Trump, though, he thinks he's above everything. So when the government tells him he can't do something, he ignores it and then tells his staff to just do it anyway and not leave a paper trail. So a Washington Post analysis of 160 lawsuits found that the Trump White House defied 1 in every 3 judicial rulings made against it.
Oh my God.
So basically they said that this was widespread non-compliance with America's legal system. The most obvious example is in March of 2025, a judge ordered Trump to stop deportation flights carrying Venezuelan gang members on the flights. So Trump wasn't allowed to put these people on the flights and fly them away. But the planes were already in the air by the time the judge had said you're not allowed to do that. So he put all these people on the flights. They landed in a mega prison, we're going to learn about it, in El Salvador anyway. So these people, he wasn't allowed to put them on the flight and send them away. But he did it anyway and waited till they were in mid-air when the judges had
he was like, whoops.
He was like, oh, already done. So a whistleblower from inside the Justice Department said that those deportation flights were ordered to depart no matter what. The officials were told to stop asking questions when they raised legal concerns and that the staff were advised to communicate by phone only where possible to avoid leaving the paper trail. So they had been told they know what's going to happen, but put them on the flights anyway and just don't leave any notice that I told you to do so. Terrible. Trump, again, we're going to see a few of these repeated in the immigration section, but he did them, so he deserves to have them talked about twice. Trump tried to end birthright citizenship, which has been in the Constitution since 1868. So birthright citizenship means that if you're born in America, you are an American citizen.
Yes.
Same if you're born in New Zealand, New Zealand citizen. It has been enshrined in the 14th Amendment since 1868. It exists specifically so that the government can never create a permanent underclass in America. So you can't say, well, you were born here, but you're not technically from here. It's so that if you're born there, you are a citizen, you have the rights, you are an American citizen.
Black
That's
and
it.
white. Yeah.
Yeah. Since the 1800s.
Yes.
On day 1 of Trump's second term, he signed an executive order trying to end birthright citizenship. So the order targeted kids of undocumented immigrants and children born to parents on temporary legal visas, affecting an estimated 255,000 babies per year. So every single court that has considered the order has actually blocked it as unconstitutional, yet he has tried to block it time and time again. So, yeah. He tried to take over elections, sued half the country for voter data, and threatened election officials with criminal charges. So, a quick reminder that elections in the US are run by separate states. They all have their own elections. That's intentional because it makes them harder to interfere with from the top. So like it's not just like one whole country votes, it's like separate states. In March of 2025, Trump signed an executive order claiming the right to rewrite how federal elections are run. That was denied. But then in March of 2026, he tried to sign another executive order that would direct the Postal Service to refuse to deliver mail ballots to anyone that the federal government hadn't pre-approved, like deciding who gets to vote.
So
I'm going to decide who gets to vote.
that he is actually like he's delusional.
And then he threatened election officials with criminal charges if they didn't comply. And he also said he would withhold funding from states that pushed back on what he wanted.
Oh my God, he's actually an idiot.
No, I know.
Like he tries to do everything evil and see what sticks.
Yeah, I know.
Free.
Everything. No, he literally tries everything.
Just because he can.
Yeah. He then said he wanted sensitive personal voter data, including social security numbers and driver's license information from almost every state in the country. When states said no, he sued more than half.
Why would he want that?
Well, just it's kind of like what we're talking about with the
Just
UK.
data.
Well, just like the more you know about people, the more you can control them. And then like, yeah. Okay, and then he continues to suggest he should be allowed a third term, which is unconstitutional.
Please, no.
Basically, the 22nd Amendment says very simply, no person can be elected president more than twice. This is because democracy does not succeed when you just have one leader. That is what we would call a dictatorship.
I actually saw, you know how we've just had the Knicks game?
Yeah.
That and New York, the New York Knicks won.
Yeah.
And they had this massive street party in the middle of New York City. And the comments were like, is this what it will feel like when he's out of office?
Yeah.
And it made me want to cry.
And
like,
he will be out of office.
Yes. He can't do another term.
No, that is unconstitutional.
Yeah.
He killed Voice of America, the broadcaster that has countered authoritarian propaganda since World War II. So Voice of America has existed since 1942, and it was created specifically to broadcast free, independent news into countries where governments controlled what people could hear. So this Voice of America started as a response to Nazi propaganda, and basically was like, we want to have a way to give people independent news so that they're not just hearing government mouthpieces, essentially. It broadcast in 49 languages to a weekly audience of over 360 million people. In March 2025, Trump signed an executive order declaring that the agency overseeing Voice of America should be eliminated to the maximum extent. Its entire staff of 1,300 people was placed on administrative leave and then let go. So, no longer independent voice. Like this, Voice of America has existed since 1942.
That is so fucked.
He also defunded NPR and PBS and shut down the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. So, again, in May 2025, Trump signed an executive order directing the Corporation for Public Broadcasting to terminate all federal funding for NPR and PBS, saying that these networks, so NPR's like Tiny Desk Radio, spread radical woke propaganda disguised as news. So basically the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which he shut down, is a private nonprofit that exists specifically to be independent of government interference. Presidents actually aren't meant to have the authority to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's insane.
But Trump did.
Because what about land of the free, freedom of speech,
Exactly.
like that the right always want to talk about and protect and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Sorry, your leader ain't doing that.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, what we learned about democracy is it doesn't exist without a free press, multiple people reporting on what's going on in the country. Authoritarianism doesn't want a free speech. dictatorship doesn't want a free speech because you shouldn't be able to report badly.
Funny that.
Yes. He used executive orders to punish law firms that represented his enemies. So this is kind of quiet but alarming.
How is that legal? How?
It's not. So Trump is going after the legal profession itself. So as we know, in a functioning democracy, everyone, including people that oppose the government, have a right to legal representation.
Yes.
So Trump decided that any law firms that had ever represented people or causes he didn't like need to be punished. Starting in February of 2025, Trump began suspending security clearances and terminating federal contracts for law firms that he accused of weaponizing the justice system. The first firm that he targeted was one that provided pro bono assistance to someone who had criminal charges against Trump. So they were working for free to help someone that had charges against Trump, and Trump basically targeted them. He then signed orders against other law firms, barring lawyers from entering federal buildings, cutting off federal agency and contractor work. He goes on Fox News to say, we have a lot of law firms that we're going to be going after. Like, not people, not actual bad people, just like the people representing people that he sees as enemies.
Like, bro, you have so much other shit you need to be doing in your country.
No.
Why are you doing that?
And like this, so this is what he's doing for democracy. And we're seeing like what he's doing against democracy. We're seeing like almost every pillar be like free speech.
He's just bashing them down.
The right to legal counsel. Even like the fact that you can only run for 2 terms, the fact that states run separate elections, every single part of this democracy is being undermined and pulled apart by Trump. It's just like, can America hold it together until he's out in a few years' time and then piece their democracy back together? I think they can because they won't have a strongman figure like Trump.
Yes. The cult will fizzle out. Yes.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So that's a list of some of the worst things Trump has done for democracy. Now let's move to immigration.
Oh, this is going to be sad.
Yeah, writing this was actually insane. I was like.
Because real humans, it's not just numbers and stats and.
Not just lawyers who aren't real humans.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I mean, no, I know. It's not just like institutions. This is humans. Yes. So I want to start this one by talking about the way Trump speaks about immigrants. Because this dictates how he treats them. 2 examples of this to start off with. At a campaign rally in December 2023, Trump said that immigrants were poisoning the blood of our country. He said it again and again across multiple rallies. Historians and scholars of fascism noted that this phrase directly echoed language used by Hitler in Mein Kampf, the book Hitler wrote. They're poisoning the blood of our country. Then at the presidential debate in September 2024 in front of 67 million viewers, 67, he said about Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs. The people that came in, they're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live here, which is just like an insane thing to say. And
I remember
racist.
when that happened.
The city spokesperson, the mayor, and all the police of Springfield said there was no credible reports of any of that happening, obviously. And then the debate moderator said this to Trump's face, and then Trump just doubled down and said, "Yes, they are. Yes, they are." The Springfield claim was later named PolitiFact's Lie of the Year for 2024. J.D. Vance, who helped spread the story, admitted on CNN that he sometimes has to create stories to get media attention. And because of this lie, there was all these bomb threats called into schools and grocery stores and government buildings in Springfield because essentially Donald Trump doesn't view immigrants as human.
No.
So he uses language that dehumanizes them.
Yes, and then his followers who are on the ground working with these people, they're going to treat them shit.
Absolutely.
And it just trickles down.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
It's disgusting. So that's how he speaks about them. I mean, I will never get over him saying they're poisoning the blood of the country. That is so Hitler-esque.
Yes.
The next thing, ICE is obviously out of control and has been given permission to be.
Yep.
We've spoken at length about ICE on this podcast. I just want to give you a quick reminder that ICE, or Immigration and Customs Enforcement, is a federal law enforcement agency that was created in the aftermath of 9/11, and it was not created to be like a deportation force, like this undercover police like thing. It was created to investigate cross-border crime, human trafficking, drug smuggling, and national security threats. So what it's become, which is basically a mass deportation, fucking let's round people up scheme, was a choice. And Trump also, he escalated it, but he also made sure that almost no one can stop ICE. So
they have so many rights under
I know. The
him.
Inspectors General, who would usually investigate abuses, were fired in January 2025. So there's no one investigating them. The internal watchdog officers that monitored detention conditions and civil rights inside these facilities where people are being placed were gutted in March 2025, and then ICE detention facility inspections dropped by nearly 40%. So, no watchdogs. Trump's spending bill increased ICE's budget from $8 billion to $28 billion.
Fuck.
Making it the most heavily funded law enforcement agency in the country. And the Senate held only one public hearing on ICE after that. So ICE are allowed to do whatever they want. They're relatively unchecked, and they have $28 billion behind them.
Fuck off.
Also, Trump has revoked a 13-year policy that prohibited ICE from making arrests at churches, schools, hospitals, and other sensitive locations, so they're allowed to do that.
So there's no safe space.
No, that's why people are hiding their neighbours in their homes.
And what does that sound like?
Yeah, once again. So here's just a little taste of what happens when you do that. A 9-month pregnant US citizen was detained during a sweep in LA. Again, US citizens. They keep taking US citizens purely on how they look or that they don't like their documentation. A disabled army veteran was driving to work in California, and he got caught up in a raid. Agents tear gassed him, broke his car window, pepper sprayed his face, forced him to the ground, and then held him in solitary confinement for 3 days without a phone call, without a lawyer. And then he was released 3 days later without explanation because he wasn't meant to be there.
That is like just causing PTSD trauma for so many people.
Yeah, and for no good reason.
For literally no reason.
No reason.
Based off racism.
ICE agents chased men into a church parking lot in California and arrested a parishioner doing landscaping on church grounds. Pastors across the country started calling lawyers to ask if running a food pantry could get them arrested.
Oh.
2025 was the deadliest year for ICE detainees since 2004. People in there have been taking their own lives after trying to get medical help or trying to get mental health help. But obviously Trump's gutted out all the systems that would do that. We know that in January 2026, Renee Good was shot and killed by an ICE agent while sitting in her car. Trump, then we know, put the National Guard on the protesters. He called them insurrectionists, which is not what he called the people that were actually insurrectionists that he pardoned. Elected officials trying to inspect detention facilities have been blocked, detained, or denied entry. One congressman was told that he needed permission from Donald Trump personally before he could enter a facility that he had oversight for. And then in August 2025, 50 members of Congress formally demanded investigations into ICE's wrongful detention of US citizens, and the administration just didn't respond. Yeah.
He needs to go for a tour in these places.
Or he needs to go for a tour and then accidentally get locked up in them.
Yeah.
And they get lost in the system.
And his documents get lost. Uh-oh.
He needs to go for a tour. I think that's such nice thinking that you think a tour is going to change his mind. He knows what's happening.
Yuck.
He deported a 4-year-old with stage 4 cancer. So in April 2025, 3 American children, aged 2, 4, and 7, were put on deportation flights to Honduras with their undocumented mothers. So they were American citizens. Their mothers were not. The 4-year-old was in active treatment for a rare form of stage 4 cancer and was deported without their medication, without any consultation with their doctors, despite ICE being told about the child's condition in advance.
That is so sad.
Yeah. Trump revoked over 100,000 visas in a single year, including thousands of student visas, partly because the students were protesting. I remember when this happened. In 2025, the Trump administration revoked more than 100,000 visas. Around 8,000 of those were student visas. While some were revoked for criminal offences, the administration also targeted international students who had participated in pro-Palestine protests on university campuses, citing anti-Semitic behaviour. So, yeah, it's fucking textbook. You're not saying what I want?
Exactly. No freedom of speech allowed in the land of the free.
Yes. We talk a lot about undocumented immigrants, but he stripped 1.6 million legal immigrants of their status of being able to live there. So in the first 11 months of his second term, more than 1.6 million immigrants lost their legal right to remain in the US in what advocates called the largest ever effort to strip permissions from people who tried to migrate through legal means. He sent people to a brutal mega prison in El Salvador, including someone that he admitted was there by mistake. I'm not going to fully go into this because I wrote about it in the newsletter. But basically, CCOT is a maximum security prison in El Salvador that human rights groups describe as one of the most brutal detention facilities in the Western Hemisphere. There's no visitation, no recreation, no education. It's essentially a hellscape.
Concrete box.
Yep. Trump paid the Salvadoran government $6 million to house deportees. And then this is where those Venezuelan people that were put on the plane before the judge could say you're not allowed to put them on the plane,
Yes.
This is where they were sent. And then there was one man, and it's a really famous case, he was sent there under an administrative error. And so he just was wrongly put in this diabolical prison.
Yeah.
And then they couldn't get him back. Then they got him back and they said, no, here's an old charge that was previously said nothing should come of it. He needs to be sent to Uganda to prison. He came back again. It's just a shit show over there. He shut down the only legal way to seek asylum at the border on day one. So on day one of his second term, on January 20th, 2025, minutes after being sworn in, Trump shut down the CBP-1 app, which is the system that migrants use to get across the border.
Yeah.
And request asylum. So 30,000 outstanding appointments were cancelled immediately. No notice and no alternatives offered.
Fuck?
So videos went viral of people at the border in tears, receiving notifications on their phones saying their appointments were no longer valid, including people who had been waiting months and were days away from their scheduled interviews.
Yeah.
So imagine a day before Trump's sworn in, you have your meeting and you're allowed into the country
for months. Yeah.
And then one day after, exact same scenario, sorry,
Done.
let's close now. So as a result, there is right now virtually no legal way to seek asylum at the US southern border.
So then, what happens to these people?
Exactly.
It's so fucking brutal.
And they have quit their jobs.
Yes.
They've left their families. They're fleeing somewhere. Well, this is what happens. If Trump had his way, he suggested shooting migrants in the legs and filling a border moat with snakes. So,
oh my God, I actually hate him more and more.
I know. So according to a book by 2 New York Times journalists, based on interviews with more than a dozen White House officials, Trump privately suggested building a moat stocked with snakes or alligators and had aides seek out a cost estimate. Wanted the border wall electrified with flesh-piercing spikes.
What the fuck?
Suggested shooting migrants in the legs to slow them down. So, and then he was told, obviously, that it was illegal. At a Florida rally, an audience member shouted, "Shoot them," when Trump asked how to stop migrants crossing the border. Trump smiled and said, "Only in the panhandle can you get away with that statement." Yeah, he's the worst.
How does he get away with it?
I know, because he's dismantling democracy.
Yeah.
He set the refugee cap at the lowest in US history and prioritised white South Africans. Now, who was his buddy in government when he was prioritising the white South Africans, do you think?
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk, a white South African
man. Disgusting.
So the US has historically admitted around 95,000 refugees a year. Trump actually set the cap for 2026 at 7,500. So it went down from nearly 100,000 to not even 8,000 people that are seeking asylum. For a bit of context, there are currently 42.7 million refugees globally in the world. So he won't even take 8,000 of them. So of those 7,500 spots, the Trump administration said they would primarily be allocated to white Afrikaners from South Africa.
They said it.
On the recommendation of Elon Musk, who is himself a white South African. So...
Are you fucking kidding?
And it's not even that those people don't deserve somewhere to live and be safe. It's that, like, we have people fleeing so many countries, Sudan, Afghanistan, Palestine.
Putting that in writing of, like, we only want white people, by the way. Like, if I have to take on some refugees,
white South Africans.
Let's do white people. That is so...
I know.
I've never heard of that.
Over 120,000 refugees who had already completed those years of, like, security vetting and were approved and ready to travel when Trump took office, they were left stranded indefinitely, like, because now he's only taking 7,500.
Yeah.
And he's not taking them. You know who he is taking?
God.
Elon Musk's buddies. And then last but not least, because I'm sure there's more that I haven't touched on, he ended temporary protected status for over 1 million people from Haiti, Venezuela, El Salvador, and more countries. So temporary protected status is a humanitarian program that lets people from countries that are going through war or natural disasters or just extreme instability stay in the US legally. Mm-hmm. So some people have been here under TPS for over 25 years, but Trump ended it for over 1 million people, including around 5,200 Haitians, 600,000 Venezuelans, and many of these people have US-born kids and homes and family. And so Trump wants to get rid of them and also end birthright citizenship for their kids. Yeah. The administration's justification for ending Haiti's temporary protected status was that conditions there had improved enough. So, yeah, Trump is dismantling democracy one by one and then using all those checks and balances that he's taken away to basically be an inhumane motherfucker towards immigrants.
It is so the parallels to Hitler.
I know.
Like, after hearing that.
I know.
Like, he wants in brackets, a pure white
society. He doesn't want to poison the blood of the country. And the fact that we have scholars and researchers and reporters like looking into this, finding it out, and then Trump's saying, well, we're just going to defund free speech so you can't put that out there.
Yes.
We're going to go after law firms so they can't like stand up for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so everyone, I'm so sorry this is not going to be a happy-go-lucky series, but it is so important, especially like
to lay it out on paper.
Yes, to lay it out, to have a historical record and to be able to have this practical knowledge that's not all the dumb social media shit that he does, so that if you're in an argument or in a debate with someone, you actually have
a leg to stand on, because there is so much shit apart from his weird tweets.
Exactly.
Weird social media posts.
Exactly.
Like, he's not just a clown behind, like, being used as like a mask for
he's an evil person.
People behind him. He is so evil.
Yeah. And even if he is a puppet, he's a fucking evil puppet.
Yes.
And so next we are going to talk about women. And that might be its own episode because he has done so much like towards women that's awful, and he's like literally a criminal. So it might be its own episode, or you know what, you might be lucky and we'll throw in something else bad that he's done too.
Well, we're going to republish, Lucy and Ruby did The Horrible History of Donald Trump in like 2021 maybe.
Yeah.
And it's really good because it gives you the background of the Trump family, like his dad, their upbringing,
yeah.
Trump's early business life and his business ventures that are also really fucked up and racist and sexist. Like, he's been doing this.
Yeah. He's been doing this, and because he does so much stupid, tiny, like incremental social media stuff, we forget the big stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we will republish that. Go listen to that. It'll be in the show notes. Read these essays. They come out for paid supporters. So if you want these like historical documents, become a paid supporter, because I spend a lot of time writing them for you and researching and choosing what bad shit I can include, which is most of it, but some of it's like, it's too much even for me. So we'll probably see you in part 2, everyone. Well done.
Yes.
Well done for being here and sticking through
this. Thank you for listening.
Love you, and good luck if you have Trump supporting family members.
Yeah, I'm really sorry if you're in America right now.
Anyway, guys, see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.